Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. Claire Donovan used to look at me like I was her whole world, laughing at my terrible jokes, stealing my hoodies, wrapping her hand around my arm whenever we walked through the grocery store aisles. We were the couple people envied, the couple who looked like they had cracked the code to marriage. But the truth? Beautiful things don't shatter suddenly. They crumble, grain by grain, until one day you touch them, and everything falls apart in your hands. I first noticed the change on a Thursday morning. Claire left earlier than usual, the sun barely brushing over the driveway. She kissed me, but her lips barely touched mine, like she was greeting a coworker, not her husband. Her perfume was stronger than usual, layered carefully, like she was preparing for someone else's eyes, not mine. Her late nights at the gym, her sudden obsession with new coworkers, her phone glued to her palm. Every behavior had been writing a story I was too afraid to read. But that morning, something finally snapped into place. While taking out the trash, I saw it. A crumpled parking lying on the floor of her car. Not from her office, not from the gym, but from a boutique hotel downtown. Room number scrawled on the back in handwriting that wasn't hers. My heart didn't break. It froze. There are moments in life where you hear nothing, where the world becomes silent enough to hear your own pulse, slow and heavy, like footsteps in an empty hallway. That was the moment I knew my marriage wasn't just cracking. It was rotting from the inside. But I didn't confront her. Not immediately. Because pain has a way of turning a man into the version of himself he never expected to meet. So instead, I watched. I started paying attention to the tiny things. How her smile looked like it belonged to someone else. How she guarded her phone like it contained national secrets. How she came home smelling like cologne I didn't wear. And then fate handed me something I wasn't prepared for. A message from an unknown woman. Mark, I'm sorry to reach out like this, but I need to talk to you about your wife. Her name was Kelsey Turner. Young, exhausted, voice trembling like she'd been crying for hours. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't accusatory. She sounded like someone who had just lost her breath and didn't know how to get it back. She told me her husband, Adam, had started acting distant. He worked longer hours, took quick errands, guarded his phone. Sound familiar? Then she said the words that made my stomach lapse into itself. I found pictures in his gallery, and I think your wife is in them. Every nerve in my body turned electric. Kelsey sent them to me. Not explicit, nothing violating, but intimate. Claire laughing in a mirror while Adam stood behind her holding her waist. Claire's hand resting on Adam's chest in a hotel hallway. Sitting in his car, leaning across the console with that same soft smile she used to give me. Everything inside me cracked in silence. But something else grew in that silence. Something colder, sharper, more controlled. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't call Claire screaming. No, I planned. Because if betrayal is a game, the smartest player is the one who doesn't move until the board belongs entirely to him. For 2 days, I acted normal. Made breakfast. Kissed her goodbye. Pretended to sleep when she tiptoed in late. Inside, I wasn't breaking. I was building something. Something she never expected. And then, finally, the night came. The night she opened the door, smoothing her hair, grabbing her purse. Heading out, she said casually, just grabbing a drink with a friend. A friend. It took everything in me not to laugh. She walked out. I waited. And 15 minutes later, her message popped up. Just having coffee with a friend. But this is not where our story starts. This is where my revenge truly begins. Claire's message glowed on my screen, simple and harmless at first glance. Just having coffee with a friend. Anyone else would have shrugged. But when you've already tasted the bitterness of betrayal, even the softest word feels like glass in your throat. I stared at the message, and instead of anger, I felt something calm right inside me. The kind of calm a man feels when he walks through the ashes of something that burned long before he admitted it was on fire. I didn't respond immediately. I let her sit in the comfort of her, lie a little longer. Because for the first time in our marriage, Claire wasn't the one in control. I was. I walked into the living room, dimly lit, the quiet hum of the refrigerator slicing through the silence. I sat on the couch and pulled up the photos Kelsey had sent me again, not to torture myself, but to burn every detail into my mind, to remind myself that I wasn't imagining things. And then I remembered something Kelsey told me during our late-night call. He deletes everything on his phone, but I back up the camera system. I caught a conversation. She had sent me the audio file earlier that day. I hadn't played it yet, so I tapped it. Adam's voice came first, smooth, restless, guilty. Just tell him you're working late again. He doesn't question you, right? And then Claire's voice, the voice I once believed could never lie to me, replied with a soft laugh that made my skin crawl. He thinks I'm at the gym half the time. He trusts me too much. Trust. That was the word that broke me. Not because she abused it, but because she mocked it. The recording ended with them planning a trip. Something about next Tuesday and room 508 again. My stomach tightened, but not with grief. With purpose. I finally typed my reply. Not screaming, not accusing, not begging. Just a quiet sentence loaded with enough truth to shatter her entire evening. Ask the guy you're with how his wife feels about those new photos. I hit send and waited. The first buzz came instantly, then another, until my phone vibrated like it was possessed. A flood of messages lit my screen. Mark, what photos? Who told you something? Tell me right now. Where did you get them? Please answer. Mark, this isn't funny. Come on. Please respond. 12 messages in under a minute. Pure panic. Pure fear. I didn't open them. Instead, I grabbed my jacket and drove out into the night. Not to confront her, but because I refused to sit in the same space where she lied to me for months. I drove to the overlook just outside town, where the city lights scattered like broken stars. It was quiet there, peaceful in a way my marriage hadn't been for a long time. My phone buzzed again. This time, I let it ring until it died. Seconds later, another call. Then another. My wife, the woman who dismissed my feelings for months, suddenly couldn't breathe without hearing my voice. I finally answered on the fourth call. Not because I cared, but because silence was a sharp tool, and I'd already used it well enough for the last minutes. Mark, her voice cracked through the speaker. What is going on? Tell me right now. I took a breath, slow and steady. Why don't you ask Adam? Silence. A heavy, choking silence. Then she whispered. You talked to her, didn't you? I didn't answer. She inhaled sharply, the kind of breath people take when they realize the ground beneath them is gone. How much do you know? She asked, barely audible. Enough. Another pause. A tremble in her voice. Mark, please. It's not what you think. I almost laughed. The hotel timestamp didn't lie. The photos didn't lie. The recording didn't lie. The sudden gym obsession didn't lie. And Claire, good actress. You're going to come home, I said, my tone colder than I expected. We're going to talk. She tried to regain her composure. Okay. I'm on my way. Just don't do anything crazy. The irony of her using the word crazy made my jaw clench. I hung up before she could say anything else. For the first months, the weight in my chest was gone. Not because the truth hurt less, but because pretending had hurt far more. I stayed at the overlook for another 20 minutes, letting the wind cool my anger, letting the city blur beneath me like a life that had slipped out of my hands long ago. By the time I drove back, I already knew what my revenge would look like. Not shouting, not insulting, not humiliation. No, my revenge would be elegant, quiet, and devastating. The kind that rewrites the story from the inside out. Because betrayal taught me something important. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destroying someone. It's letting them watch you become a person you never reach again. When I finally pulled into the driveway, Claire's car was already there. She stood by the door, tears streaking her makeup, hands trembling. But tears don't fix betrayal, and guilt doesn't erase choices. She whispered, please just hear me out. Oh, I would. But not as the husband she once fooled. As the man who finally stopped marriage she buried long before I knew it. Claire stood frozen in the doorway like a child caught stealing. Mascara streaked across her cheeks, her breath coming in small, broken gasps. The porch light washed her in a pale yellow glow, making her look even guiltier, even more hollow than the woman I once promised forever. Mark, please, she whispered, voice trembling. Just let me explain. I stepped past her without responding. I didn't slam the door, didn't yell. My silence hit her harder than any raised voice ever could. She followed me inside, her heels clicking against the hardwood like hesitant apologies. I walked into the living room and sat down, calm, composed, almost surgical. She stood a few feet away, wringing her hands like the truth hurt to hold. "Sit," I said quietly. She obeyed instantly. Funny how she had no problem ignoring my feelings for months, but the moment the truth cornered her, she treated my words like commands. She sat on the couch, breathing fast. "Mark, I swear, things got complicated. I didn't mean for anything to happen." I studied her face. Not the tears, not the shaking, but the flicker of calculation, her mind searching for the version of the story that made her look least guilty. "Who's the friend?" I asked. She swallowed. "Just someone from the gym." I tilted my head. "Adam." Her entire body stiffened. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. There it was. The moment lies ran out of road. "Why don't we skip the pretending," I said, my voice steady, "and go straight to the part where you tell me how long this has been going on?" Claire shook her head violently. "No, Mark, like that. I swear. It wasn't romantic." I raised an eyebrow. "He held your waist in a hotel hallway." Her eyes widened in panic. She leaned forward, desperate. "You saw those." "Mark, listen, it was stupid flirtation, that's all." "I wasn't." "Room 508, I said calmly. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "Where did you hear that?" "You said the gym was good for you," I replied. Guess it was more of a full-body workout than I realized. She covered her face with her hands. "Oh my God. Mark, please." Her voice cracked, and for a moment, I saw the woman I married. Not the liar, not the cheat, the version of her from before routine, everything between us. But I wasn't here for nostalgia. I wasn't here to save what she buried. "I want you to explain it," I said. "Every piece of it." She stared at me, broken, then finally said the words I had been waiting for. "It started after your promotion." The promotion she celebrated with balloons and a fake smile. The one that forced me longer hours, more responsibility. The one I thought I earned for our future. "You were always tired," she whispered. "Always working. Always stressed." I felt alone. I leaned back, jaw clenched. "So instead of talking to your husband, you talked to someone else's." "Not like that," she cried. "He was just there. He listened. He understood how overwhelming things felt. And one night we had drinks and I made a mistake." "One night?" I asked. She hesitated. A dangerous, damning pause. "Claire." I said her name like a verdict. Her shoulders sagged. "No," she whispered. "It wasn't one night." Silence. Not the soft silence of understanding. The suffocating silence of a truth so heavy it could crush bone. She buried her face again, sobbing into her palms. "I didn't mean to fall into anything. I didn't mean for feelings to develop." Feelings. The word echoed like thunder in the quiet room. I felt heat rise in my chest. Not anger, not heartbreak, just a sharp clarity. She went on, voice trembling, desperate to salvage whatever she could. "I swear, I never planned any of it. Adam just filled a void. But I realized it was wrong. I tried ending it so many times. So, you ended it by going for coffee tonight." My voice sliced through her excuses. Her head snapped up. "No, tonight was just a talk. Just to finally close it for good." She didn't even realize she had confessed again. I stood from the couch. She reached for me instantly. "Don't," I said. Her hand froze midair. For the first time, she saw it. The piece of me she had destroyed, and the new piece rising from the ruins. "Mark, I'm begging you," she said, voice breaking. "Please don't leave me. Don't do anything drastic." "Oh, I'm not doing anything drastic," I said softly. "My revenge isn't chaos. It's clarity." She blinked, confused, terrified. "You chose him," I said. "While I worked myself into exhaustion to build a life for us, you were giving your best parts to another man." "Mar, please. I'm not the one who needs to panic tonight," I interrupted. "You already did that the moment I mentioned the photos." Her mouth opened, but I didn't give her space to speak. "You want to hear something honest?" I asked. Her eyes lifted. "Every time you lied to me, you taught me to let go a little more. And now," I exhaled, steady calm. "There's nothing left to hold." Tears rushed down her face again. "I can fix this," she whispered. "I swear. I'll cut all ties with him. I'll change my number. I'll do anything. Just, please, Mark, don't give up on us." I looked at her long enough to understand something. She wasn't crying because she lost me. She was crying because she lost control. And that was step one of my revenge. Because the next part, the part she never expected, I had already started putting it in motion. And by the time it was complete, Claire would understand what betrayal really felt like. Claire sat on the couch like a wilted version of herself, trembling hands clasped together, mascara smeared, breath hitching in the quiet room. She wasn't looking at her husband anymore. She was looking at the consequences of her own choices. And for the first time in months, she had no script prepared. No excuses. No soft lies to wrap around the truth. I leaned against the doorway, calm, steady, completely in control. You said you can fix it, I said. But fixing something requires honesty. Can you do that? She nodded quickly. Too quickly. Yes. Yes, I'll tell you anything. Just don't leave me. I took a slow breath. Then you should know something before we talk about fixing anything. Her eyes widened with fear. I had a meeting today, I said, watching her closely. A meeting with Kelsey. Her lips parted, color draining from her face. You met her. She deserved the truth, I replied. The same truth I deserved. Claire's jaw trembled. Mark, why would you talk to her? This is between us. No, I cut in. You made it between 4 people the moment you stepped into that hotel. She flinched as if the word hotel physically hurt her. I stepped forward and placed a neatly folded envelope on a coffee table. She stared at it like it might explode. What is that? She whispered. A copy of everything, I said. The photos, the timestamp logs, the recording. Her face collapsed. The dam broke. Tears spilled again, not guilt anymore, but fear. You wouldn't, she whispered. Mark, you wouldn't ruin my life like that. I lowered my gaze to hers. You already ruined mine. She shook her head desperately. I can change, I swear. I'll do therapy. I'll quit the gym. I'll quit my job if I have to. Mark, please, just don't involve other people. Kelsey deserved the truth, I said again firm. She is the one who spent nights alone wondering why her husband no longer touched her. Why he constantly lied. Why his phone was always face down. Claire shut her eyes tightly, her shoulders shaking. Adam's been served papers, I continued. She didn't wait around to hear his excuses. Claire's eyes snapped open. Papers? Mark, what did you do? I supported the woman who didn't deserve to be lied to, I replied. Something you could have done for me. She folded in on herself, hugging her knees like a child. Or are you leaving me? I let the question hang in the air. Not as a threat, not as a weapon, as a mirror. You didn't leave me much of a marriage to stay in, I said. She sobbed harder, shaking her head. I'm begging you, don't do this. I'll fix everything,